Honorable viewers, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel Department of English. Today I'm going to share with you my last Duchess 1842 written by Robert Browning. So let's get started. Robert Browning was born on 7 May 1812 in London. My last Duchess is a super dramatic monologue of Robert Browning. The narrator is the Duke of Ferrara, a significant city of Italy. It was an important cultural center during the Renaissance. This poem gives an analysis of the character of the Duke and his last Duchess, and the messenger of the neighboring country. The Duke of Ferrara is a powerful, proud, and cruel. He is widowed. The messenger has come to his place to negotiate with him about his, that means Duke, second marriage. The Duke takes him his picture gallery and shows to him the picture of his last days. The picture is natural and realistic. According to the statement of the Duke, it is proved that the Duke is a zealous tormentor and a poor Duchess could not have enjoyed any freedom as the wife of such a man. The Duke further tells the messenger that his last Duchess had a childish nature. Quote, she had a heart, how shall I say, to soon made glad, to easily impressed. She smiled at everybody without any division. She thanked everybody in the same way. She could not differentiate between the gifts of Duke and common people. Her habit of smiling continued to grow till it became unbearable to him. The Duke says that he did not try to correct her and put an end to her foolishness in thinking everybody, because he thought it blew his dignity to take note of her childish conduct. Duke says that it is beyond his capacity to explain the type of her heart. One could make her glad very easily. She liked whatever she saw, and her eyes saw everything. Quote, she liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir Toast Wall on. At last, he gave orders that her smiles be stopped, and then all smiles stopped together. Most probably, the Duchess was murdered at the command of her unkind husband. Next, he tells the messenger that he would expect a rich dowry from his master, although his primary concern was the daughter. Here we see the inferior mentality of the Duke. Quote, she thanked men, good, but thanked. Somehow, I know not how as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. In this line, the Duke makes a comment on the character of the Duchess. In fact, these lines suggest the Duke's Renaissance vanity and the Duchess' simplicity. The Duke says that it is beyond his capacity to explain the type of her character. She used to thank men. She had the childish habit of thanking everybody. The Duke approves that there is no harm in that, but she failed to distinguish between the valuable gifts given to her by him and the ordinary acts of courtesy done by others. She failed in maintaining the dignity of his noble family. Duke says that he does not know how it was possible on her part to treat equally anyone's gift, and his gift that carries with it 900 years old aristocracy. The Duke was not happy with this kind of generosity or courtesy of the Duchess, who made no difference between the Duke and other ordinary persons. The lines also indicate the Duke's arrogance or vanity and pride that were prevalent among the aristocratic people of Italy in the Renaissance period. Quote, "Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without? Much the same smile. This grew, I gave comments. Then all smiles stopped together." These lines give an analysis of the character of the Duke and his last days. The Duke tells the messenger that his last days had a childish nature. She smiled at everybody without any division. She thanked everybody in the same way. Her habit of smiling continued to grow till it became unbearable to him. The Duke says that he did not try to correct her and put an end to her foolishness in thanking everybody, because he thought it below his dignity to take note of her childish conduct. At least, or at last, he gave orders that her smiles be stopped, and then all smiles stopped together. Most probably, the Duchess was murdered at the command of her unkind husband. Through these lines, we see the inferior mentality of the Duke and frank heart of his Duchess. My Last Duchess is a famous dramatic monologue. And the dramatic monologue, there is always the presence of a second person to whom the thoughts of the speaker are presented, though the second person cannot interrupt the main speaker. There are listeners, and the presence of the listeners affects or influences the talk. Often, the remarks of the listeners are indirectly introduced by the speaker's answers. In My Last Days, the listener is the messenger who has come to the Duke from another state to negotiate about the second marriage. The Duke's talk is carefully designed to impress or astonish the messenger. Dramatic monologue refers the represents of some other characters to whom it is addressed and to who listen to it, though they may not take part in it. In this poem, only a single person speaks. The speaker is the Duke of Ferrara, who is talking about his last dead Duchess. The messenger is the listener of the Duke, but he does not talk, but his existence is felt through the Duke's speech. So, this poem has all the elements that a dramatic monologue requires. The Duke is very proud and boastful of his power and wealth. He has hankness of his aristocracy. Even he is a greedy man who demanded of dowry at a time of negotiating his second marriage. His self-centered mentality stops the smiling face of Duchess. Browning uses irony as the main device to control the structure of the poem. So that's all about My Last Days. For the timing, thanks your patience hearing.